This archived clip from Make Live is brought to you by DigiKey.
Join us live every second and fourth Wednesday of the month.
Okay, so our next guest is Onyx Ashanti, also has a project in Make Volume 28. He's an electronic musician based in Berlin who makes his own wireless controllers for his performance, and they're really awesome. He performed at Maker Faire, New York, and we're going to have him live chatting with us, also on Google Plus this time, pretty cool, after we show you his performance. So check out the video and queue up your questions. He'll be live right after.
Onyx Ashanti, and the style that I do is beat jazz. It was something like it in the 90s with keyboards, and then when laptops came along, I completely shifted to laptops. And then over time, you know, I would be doing production with my Wind MIDI controller. You know, because that was basically my keyboard. I would use that to play my drums or my bass or these different elements. And eventually, I realized I could play all of them in a performance. I didn't have to take just one. So I devised a method to be able to play all of them. Live looping fit the bill. So I kind of started working on the concept of beat jazz as a way to kind of keep the live looping from just being a stack of loops and have a kind of a narrative trajectory. It's basically a three-way wireless network. The center patch is where the wireless transmitter is for the mouthpiece. This is the mouthpiece that I designed, and that's a microphone that pretty much straps it to. And this is played like a sax, so this goes here and then my hand. So it's kind of like when you play like this, and there's an accelerometer in each one, so I can control my parameters by moving my hand. The boxes, I kind of designed these boxes just so that I would have a good finger positioning, so that I'd have a good place to control octaves, things of that nature. They house all of the mechanics for the system. The Arduino and the XB are in here. The accelerometer is here between the forefinger and the thumb, so that I can basically control the accelerometer like this, and then I have my Z-axis. Pressing, these are force sensing resistors, so they're pressure sensitive. So I have them programmed to send a note on-off, basically. Or a combination of them send note on-offs, like a sax, a Boehm fingering method. When I press each one a little bit harder, the color of the lights change, which indicates the different instrument type, like bass or leads or drums, that kind of thing. Using, say, like this joystick, if I push it forward, I have effects that come in that I can record that basically just affect everything but turn off as soon as I let it go. This mouthpiece is basically just connected to a pressure sensor, and that allows me to basically instantiate the pressure at which the note is triggered, as well as a control variable to control things like filters or whatever. The mouthpiece design is a silicone based putty. You know, you mix the two pieces together, and you've got about 5 minutes to form it. And so I designed it so that it would kind of stay locked into place, so that so that it doesn't blow out of my mouth every time I play. Less of a thing of dancing as a performance method, and more of a abstracting motion type of a thing. It's not a thing of trying to entertain people with like choreography or any of that stuff. It's just that there, you know, once you have that freedom, there are certain natural things that just tend to kind of come out that is relative to dance, and so using dance motions actually. It helps more with narrative than the gestural aspect, because to the accelerometers, this is the same as this. The accelerometer doesn't care. My hands can stay right here all night. Like most of the time when I play, this hand is usually right here, and it's doing this because my volume is there. So I'm controlling the volume of what I'm recording by doing this. And so a lot of times I'll be doing stuff with this hand, but this hand is always on this plane, you know. So there's always that thing. So it's like there will be that narrative that I'm trying to get across with the movement, but the actual accelerometer control is still, you know, keeping that hand on that plane. When I say improvisation, I mean actually, you know, practicing a lot so that you can, so when you hear in your head a certain theme that's based on the room that you're in, that's based on the people you're playing to, that's based on these things, you can play it. You don't have to play something like it, you can play it. That's, to me, improvisation. That's the goal, is to be able to play exactly what you hear in your head when you hear it, the way you hear it. And that's where the technology comes in, because I don't have to live within the limitations of drums or a saxophone or a keyboard. You know, I can have all of those things, and as long as the interface allows me to jump amongst them easily, then I can paint the picture that I want with the sounds that I have, and I can create those sounds to be able to paint that picture.
We have Onyx live in our Google Plus chat.
See?
Can we hear you, Onyx? Let's see.
Yes, I'm here.
Hey!
Oh, hey, awesome. There you are, yay, calling us all the way from Berlin. The connection looks great. It's really late there, and we really appreciate you joining so late at night. What time is it there?
It's about 3:30, I think.
3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, can you tell us if you'd be up otherwise, or if you got up special for the show?
Yeah, I've been having to work a lot lately, so. Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Great. Well, glad to not interrupt your normal sleep schedule then. So awesome. Onyx, we're really curious about your beat jazz controllers. I think they're so awesome, and I can't wait to hear more about them. How did you get started in electronic music?
I've been playing for about 15, 16 years professionally, but I've been in the last few years I've actually started getting a bit better at it. So it's been a kind of a little bit of a curve in the last few years where the technology has been available to allow me to do the things that I wanted to do with it that I could have done maybe 10 years ago, but it would have been really expensive and really difficult.
So what are some of the pieces of hardware that you can get now that you couldn't get 10 years ago?
Well, of course, the main one would be the Arduino. The Arduino changed everything. It wasn't just the Arduino itself. It was all the tutorials, all of the fact that it's open source, that you can actually see how it's built, that you can build one yourself, that there are massive amounts of people that will help you to get things done.
That's awesome. Well, so you use an Arduino. What else do you use to make your controllers?
Well, the Arduinos I'm using the Arduino Theos because of their size and because they have a built-in cue for the XP series wireless transmitters. I use Pure Data on the software side. I wanted the hardware aspect to be as simple as possible. So basically it's just sensors going straight into the Arduino, and that's being sent straight to Pure Data. And each part of the controller has its own COM port in data. They all reassembled it as one instrument.
That's really interesting. How do you like working with Pure Data? I've only ever used Max MSP, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the two different software programs.
I mean, I started on a cracked version of Max, and I didn't really vibe on having to use cracked software to do the things that I wanted to do to express myself. So, and I didn't really want to pay $500 for it. So I investigated Pure Data and ended up liking it more, primarily because the simple things. I like the fact that it has different shapes for different object types. I like the fact that the number boxes look different than message boxes, look different than object boxes. It helps me to be able to get a better overview of what I'm doing. And after you kind of figure out how to kind of link things together, you can link a lot of really simple things together to make something that's a bit more complex.
Now I want to ask you some questions about that mouthpiece you use. What does it consist of?
Well, the mouthpiece that I used for that I used when I did the TED video, that was only actually only a month after I had built the first prototype, and I needed something that would allow it. I think I actually have it here. I needed something. Here it is. Yeah. So it's like this.
Oh yeah,
So
made out of two guitar picks, and then what's holding them together?
Glue and wire.
That sounds safe to put in your mouth.
Yeah, I've been wondering whether or not it was toxic or not, but I guess I'll find out in a few years. But
What's your new one made out of?
Oh wait, I got it here too. The new one's this Elasticil, some kind of stuff.
Silicone.
Basically, it's this two-component putty, and you mix it together, and you've got about 5 minutes to create something with it before it cures, and then it's permanent. But you can add to it, you can cut it, you can do all of that stuff. So I made a bit of a tooth mold, and that keeps the mouthpiece from blowing out of my mouth while I'm playing, so that it stays stable.
That's awesome. I mean, it looks so cool when you're using it. What is it actually controlling in the music?
Well, the pressure sensor is basically, the controller is like a, I've been playing wind controller for a number of years, and you play it like a sax, but it's not a sax, it's a digital instrument. So I wondered a few years ago, well, since it's digital, I don't actually need it to be in this configuration. That's only so that it seems familiar, but I don't really need the familiarity anymore. So I wanted a way to be able to have the hand freedom. Since it's digital, you know, I can have something here. And at first, the initial idea was to have wires. So it was going to be wires that were going to go up my arm and have this thing in the middle of my chest, and you know, and it was going to. And I made a prototype that didn't work, but it was a bit of a headache to put all this stuff on, and you know, and all this stuff, and it looked horrible. So I started researching the wireless options, and I discovered the XB earlier this year when I started on the project, which kind of freaked me out. I was like, wow, I didn't know this was available, and it's inexpensive, and there's an Arduino that has one built in. So it was just all my Christmases in like one component. So I took those, and it took me a couple of months to kind of figure out whether or not I was going to have to use, deal with serial communication data and all of those things. But eventually I got them all to communicate, and the mouthpiece goes into a pressure sensor. So I have that here too. Oh wait, here's one. So little pressure sensor. This one's a little different than the one that's in my unit. The one that's in my unit is has 2 ports, and the one that's in my unit is the wrong PSI rating. It's it should be like 1.5 PSI instead of 14 PSI, which is the one I'm using. So
okay, that's right. You were telling me you had to massage the data.
Yeah, I had to multiply it a lot, and there's a really high noise floor, so I had to kind of gate the noise floor so it doesn't go down below a certain point. And then the point that it does register, I multiplied it a lot, so it's a very interesting sound in comparison to the wind controller I played before that was made by people who actually know how to make wind controllers.
So is there also a microphone, though, up near the mouthpiece? Someone was asking in the chat.
Yeah, that's...
There's also a microphone.
There's a microphone there. The microphone, I use it for vocoding. So I use the controllers to play the note that I'm singing, so that the two together can kind of, be a certain thing. The system I'm working on now, that I'm creating for, will will directly tie that that voice information in as an oscillator. So it'll be like vocoding, a bit like vocoding, a bit like ring modulation, but a bit more tied together.
That's great. It's really interesting. I loved watching you perform. I thought it was so much fun.
Yeah,
Someone was asking in the chat that if you live in Berlin but you sound super American, where are you from?
Now, I grew up in Mississippi. I lived in California a number of years. Lived in London for a while. Lived in New York for a bit. Now I live here. You know, it's a very nice place to be able to focus on electronic projects such as this.
Can you talk about your performances? What kind of audience they draw? What they're like? What the mood is?
It's really funny actually, because when I started this project, my main focus was, okay, I want to be able to have my hands apart, because it had gotten to the point where playing like this was like playing with a neck brace on. It was like, you know, and I was thinking, if I just had this hand here and this hand here, and I had the ability to do these things, that it would be a little bit better. It'd be cool. It's like, okay, this will be better. But it's a completely different thing. It's literally, you have the freedom to make, to use these motions to make, to change the sound in ways that I didn't really predict before I built it. So when I go and I perform, I'm there and I'm doing this motion, and this motion is making sound, and I'm playing these things because of the motion that I'm making, and people are like, what is, you know, and they, you know, they tend to get freaked out a little bit, which is kind of cool, you know.
Well, your performance seems so natural. I find it so fascinating that you're able to make the instruments that, and you said in your interview too at Maker Faire that like you want to be able to play the music that comes into your head, when it comes into your head, how it comes into your head. I think it's amazing that you've built these instruments that let you do that yourself. We've got someone in the chat who wants to be an electronics musician when he grows up. Do you have any advice?
Well, the project comes out in the magazine this week, so build one. Yeah,
build one for sure. Somebody's asking if you can get the code online, and you can.
But I would honestly say for anyone that's getting into electronic music now to really investigate pure data. I mean, currently I'm building a new system around this, and the options that are available in pure data for creating sound, for manipulating sound, for doing these things is unreal, you know. And we've now got what, 30 some odd years of popular music using electronic sound to kind of give us a guide, the same way that you know, say in the 70s you had 30 or 40 years of jazz to kind of tie into music that came along afterwards. Now we have 30 or 40 years of really great electronic music to draw on and say, ooh, I want my bass to sound like this, and I want my, you know, this is the kind of idea I'm thinking about for that. But then we also have options they didn't have. So we can go into quadraphonic sound, or we can go quadraphonic. I mean, that was years ago. We can. There's not really any limits actually to where the sound can go and why you can go there. You know, that's what's really interesting right now. So I would say, you know, I mean, even Ableton Live right now, Ableton Live has Max for Live built in. So that's like the best of all worlds in that sense. You get a recording system. You've got synthesizers, you've got multi-track recording, you've got wave editing, but then you also have an environment to be able to build things so you can grow with it.
Awesome. Well, it was so nice of you to share with us and talk to us live on the show, especially at such a late hour at night. And we love seeing your project, so thank you.
No, thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Now get some sleep.